Welcome to another edition of Moore's Rolling Point Blank, the show where we talk about the major issues of the day and we go out on point blank. You know, tonight we're going to talk about the major issue for me. It's certainly been something that's been on my mind. I've been wanting to do this program for many months. And what I want to talk about is bird flu and the possibilities that just make the mind go crazy. We're very fortunate to have with us tonight the Director General of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Nyoman Kandun. Pak Nyoman, thanks a lot for being with us.
You're welcome.
Dr. Nyoman, the mind just gets boggled down with all of this. We have imaginations of the movie where the vial drops and the virus is spreading all amongst us. Chickens, their bodies explode with this stuff. I mean, humans, their lungs fill up and they drown. On the other hand, are we overreacting? Really, 60 people have died.
The whole world.
In the whole world.
Yes.
You know, so other diseases that we probably couldn't even pronounce on this program, many more people have died than that. How real is this threat?
How real is this threat? Actually, if you are talking the number of people died every day in Indonesia, for tuberculosis alone, 400 people died every day. And if you are talking about children under 5 died, 3,000 children under 5 died because of many kind of diseases, let us say acute respiratory infection, viral diseases. If you are talking about bird flu, because the expert is worried about the possibility the bird flu transmits from human to human. Actually, bird flu is the disease of animal. It is very difficult to jump to the human being. Only if they can cross the animal barrier, that is the time they can infect people.
And has the Spanish flu of 1918,
yeah.
whatever it was, where the numbers seem to be getting bigger.
20 million, 40 million.
20 million, 40 million, a lot of people died.
Yes.
Was this, I've also read that this may have been an animal flu that somehow mutated or what. Has there ever been an animal flu that mutated to human beings?
Actually, as far as I know, I don't know that has been this mutation of the animal flu and then infect people, because at that time, as far as I know, the 1918 outbreak, it was the seasonal influenza like what we have during 1958 and also 1968 pandemic. Yeah?
And every animal, like humans, we have the human flu, right?
Yes, yes.
And that every year there's a lot of people that die. There's millions of people that die.
Yes, that's what we call it seasonal influenza.
Every animal has these kinds of flus. I mean, bird flu is not something new, is it?
It's not something new in animal population.
In birds.
In birds. For example, they have H5N1, H7, H9, and so on.
And this is something that we've known about for hundreds of years, or as long as we've known about ourselves and the influenza. And birds have been, so 5 years ago, when nobody talked about this, birds were dying of this type of thing also?
Yes.
And it's primarily migratory birds, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Migratory bird was thought to be those who are responsible to transmit to the what we call it, to chicken, to the what we call it, the house bird.
It's the carrier.
Yeah.
And then how we get in, in theory, the threat is how we get infected. How we get infected is through animals that we don't come in contact with migratory birds.
Yes, yes.
Very often. Right? What about other animals? In the 70s in America, there was a pig flu, a swine flu. And that was thought to be a pandemic. There were worries that, in fact, I think 60 million people in America were inoculated for that.
So actually, the fact, because we are worried about the possibility of the human-to-human transmission for that swine, but in fact, no transmission. Just like, remember the Y2K, the millennium bug, by the time were entering the third millennium. We are worried about the possibility of the chaos because of this, the digits number, no? But nothing happened.
It's not
But
so
be
easy.
prepared. But be prepared.
Yeah, it's not so. You know, we've been trying to find, for instance, there's a shortage of hearts in this world. And we've been trying to find more hearts because people need new hearts, right? They have a problem with their heart. They need to have receive from a recipient, a better heart. Their heart is degenerating, right? Mm-hmm. What I know in recent years, they've tested, for instance, with pigs. They've tested putting pigs' hearts or baboons, monkey hearts, mm-hmm. or whatever, and it doesn't work because the human body rejects it, right? Mm-hmm. Is that the same difficulty that a germ that is indigenous to a bird would have entering into a human's body?
Actually, in general, we have a defense mechanism to reject anything come into our body. For example, like now you are swallow something and then you will cough, you will sneeze. That is our defense mechanism to reject. Even to germ also, we have an immune system, to reject this infection from germs, virus or bacteria as well.
Yeah.
Now for this bird flu, actually, this is the disease of animal, not the disease of a human being. Only by accident they cross the animal barrier and become zoonosis. If they transmit only in the bird population, what's so-called epizootic. And then if they jump to human being, then we call that zoonosis, like rabies. This is the disease of dog, actually, or the rabid animal,
Right.
And when they bite us and then we become ill, then called zoonosis.
Interesting. Okay. So but we don't become rabid carriers to another human being, right?
Yeah, it is very rare. You bite people,
Right. It's something out of the movies. Again, it's something more out of the movie. So in fact, this is more like the cases so far of bird flu are more like that. An infected chicken. Yes. Somehow a human being came in contact with an infected chicken. It entered their bloodstream. And they came down with it.
Actually, I tell you what, because, we declare Indonesia affected by bird flu in the animal population in January 2004. Since that time, from the Ministry of Health point of view, we have collected 1,257 blood specimen as well as pharyngeal swab from the farmers. Mm-hmm. None of them positive for H5N1 infection until the first human case was reported the first week of July. Mm-hmm. They are not farmers. They are not at risk. They are government official. The first case reported in Indonesia, it was in the 1st of July. They were admitted in 28 June 2005. Mm-hmm. 2 weeks after I've been appointed as a DG of this office. Mm-hmm. I found the clustering of pneumonia in one family, 3 victims in one family, that is unusual. So at the time I called the hospital, Harapan Kita, Persahabatan, Rumah Sakit Sulianti Saroso. I called them for what we call it, emergency meetings. So something wrong with this family. Of course, to transfer the cases to Sulianti Hospital, please discuss among clinicians, because I'm interested, being an epidemiologist, I'm interested with this clustering of severe pneumonia in one family. And at that time, I formed a small team to investigate the case. Actually, we were thinking about 5 possibilities at that time as the cause of the severe pneumonia. One is SARS. The second one is Nipah virus. The third one, hantavirus. I was thinking also the possibility of the resurgence of plague. Last but not least, of course, avian influenza is the last in the list. Negative, and finally we found that positive for H5N1 infection. We sent the specimen to Hong Kong University for confirmation, and they were positive.
So what did we learn from that? These were government employees that were dealing with...
We couldn't find the risk factors.
They were dealing with infected animals, obviously.
Nobody knows where did they go. Maybe they went to the wet market or they're traveling somewhere.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say for the farmers who day to day play with the dead chicken even, because up till now 19 million chicken died because of this outbreaks.
Yeah, it's a lot.
A lot.
Listen, you've tested Jakarta.
Up till now, no one farmers
That's interesting. And why?
suffering from this disease.
They've built up their immunities.
If you are talking about they are building up the immunity because I draw the blood, no antibody at all. That means, they couldn't enter the body of the farmers. Maybe that's because I told you, this is not the disease of human being.
Right.
This is the animal disease. Only just like the screw, it doesn't fit because the receptor is different.
Yeah. Okay, Dr. Yeoman, we're at the epicenter. My mother keeps reminding me that we're
Yes.
at the epicenter of this disease, right here in Indonesia. Right now, we're entering into the rainy season.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that, unfortunately, it could get worse because of the rainy season. Can you explain that to me?
I start again, so far we have now 12 confirmed cases, 7 died.
Right.
So out of those 12, 1 we couldn't find the risk factors, but the rest we could find the risk factors. That means dead chicken, dead birds and so on.
Yeah.
So they have risk factors, but at home, because most of the houses in Indonesia, they have a backyard farming as well as singing bird in the house,
Yeah.
And your second question then?
The rainy season. What?
Oh, of course.
Why is this going to aggravate the problem worse?
Actually, rainy season, we are talking about the seasonal influenza. Like every time I got influenza maybe 3 times or 5 times a year. I never think this is as a serious, for example, like avian influenza, H5N1, H7, something like that. The human influenza virus, H1N1, H2N2, and so on. So with the simple word, if they got married each other, they are capable, to human transmission. That is the expertise is worried about.
I see.
Make the global concern. Yeah?
I see. And since now is the time for more flu,
Yeah.
it translates into the greater possibility, in theory.
In theory, yes.
that
In
this could
quotation
mutate.
mark, yeah.
Okay. Dr. Yeoman, we got to take a break. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to be talking more about Indonesia's response. Is it adequate? We'll be right back.
Indonesia, yang ultimate in diversity.
You're back with Moore's Roland Point Blank, and we're very lucky to be back with Dr. E. Yeoman Kandun, the man at the center of fighting the bird flu as well as other communicable diseases in this country. Dr. Yeoman, the response from Indonesia
Yes.
6 months ago seemed to be very lacking, quite frankly, and that's what concerned me. That's why I've been wanting to do this show so much. What I kept hearing is, we just don't have the money. Yeah, it's a problem. There's no doubt about it. It's a big potential problem. We don't have the money for it, so let's use some old vaccinations and let's get on with life and let's just see how it all turns out. Lately, we hear the president talking about it. We hear that the army is going to be searching homes. The Jakarta administration is checking each sub-district in Jakarta. It seems that the country is getting its act together. What's happening?
Every time you are experiencing outbreak or epidemic, first thing happens, the epidemic of panic. That is most difficult one to solve, actually, epidemic of panic.
Yeah.
Actually, if we are talking about preparedness, we have 6 strategies so far. The first strategy is how to prevent the transmission of this avian influenza virus in the poultry population. This is actually the jurisdiction of the responsibility mostly within the Ministry of Agriculture.
Okay.
And the second one, how to minimize the risk factors by implementing biosecurity strictly. We can implement the biosecurity only in the big farm, medium-sized up farming. But talking about backyard farming and the family, we need to, to teach the people, to educate the people,
right.
With this risk communication, public awareness.
And they don't know. They don't know.
They don't know, because actually we need to tell them the mode of transmission of this avian influenza and how to prevent it.
Yeah.
By implementing the very basic and essential personal hygiene and environmental sanitation, they can prevent it at home.
Yeah.
So, of course, the strategy number 2 is about the biosecurity at the household level as well as the big farming.
Okay.
Number 3, our strategy is about surveillance. Because if we are talking about disease, the first come is the surveillance. Surveillance in animal, surveillance in human. So we are working together with Ministry of Agriculture as well as Forestry. If we are talking about wild bird, this is the responsibility of the Ministry of Forestry.
Right.
For example, like you have read in the newspaper, we have closed our zoo for 21 days, the governor of DKI Jakarta.
Yeah.
But
And a lot of them were infected. A lot of the birds were infected.
So 19 out of 27 specimens collected from 27 birds were positive.
Incredible.
And then we closed right away, and we collected blood specimen and swab from the workers and also from the visitors. Thanks God, no one of them positive. And then the governor opened again the zoo. And then the strategy number 4 is the public awareness. Public awareness, of course, how to educate people with this education, information, and communication materials. It takes time to disseminate this information to the community.
Yeah.
And then how to improve our case management capacity in the hospital. We are now in the process to prepare 44 hospitals as a referral hospital regionally throughout the country.
Yeah.
And then, the decision maker said, okay, not only 44, maybe 100, up to the local authority to improve also their capacity. It takes time.
Yeah.
How to treat the case just in case they are admitted to the hospital. Case management and how to prevent infection in the hospital among the health personnel also by implementing this universal precaution. We need to have also personal protection equipment both in the hospital as well as the farmers who are dealing with animal, with chicken and so on. Yeah. And then, of course, last but not least, research and development, because a lot of things we do not know about avian influenza. Maybe something new from this country about avian influenza. That is why research and development is one of our strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and you're doing all of this at the same time that, as you mentioned, 400 people are dying a day of tuberculosis and malarial and all of these other things. So you're fighting a lot of other very important battles at the same time. But the point of this question is that this is really at the top of the agenda right now.
Yeah, because lesson learned from 1918 pandemic, 1958, 1968 again. So a lot of people died. 1918, people believe 40 million died. Yeah. So with this, the possible pandemic of avian influenza,
it's a
very serious problem. Okay. So people, the expertise mentioned that maybe more than 100 million will die. Yeah. Nobody knows.
That's right.
When the pandemic will occur, nobody knows. Maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, maybe next year, maybe 10 years from now. Maybe never happen. Right. But be prepared.
The whole world now, in fact, it's also being talked about. A few months ago, I was in the United States and I was meeting with a congressman.
Yes.
And he said to me, what can we do for Indonesia? We want to help Indonesia. What can we do? And I said to him at the time, I said, please, because I didn't think that the country was taking it seriously. And I said, you got to help them with bird flu. Anyway, this is a global problem and I could be giving it to you right now, or sitting in this meeting, right? And he said, but we're doing something. We gave them $1 million. And I said, they need 50 million. All of a sudden, lately,
Thanks.
I don't know. Lately, I see that it's on CNN every night. In fact, it's scaring the heck out of me, but globally, this is a serious thing. They're checking birds, migratory birds. They find it in the Ukraine, find it in Canada, find it here. The world is taking this. It's a wake-up call for the whole world, isn't it?
Yes, of course, this is a global concern. It's not only the concern of Indonesia. Of course, your Secretary Levitt came here and he promised to give us $3.1 million. You mentioned 50 millions. Welcome.
Yeah. Well, we need it. We need
it.
Because what I also see is that this is an economic issue. Farmers, that person that you
Compensation,
mentioned,
for example, you stamp out, you call you need to compensate also.
My guess is a farmer that has 3 chickens, that's his asset.
Mm-hmm.
He has 3 assets, 3 chickens.
Yes.
If one of them falls over dead, whether their internal organs burst or whatever, he's going to cut it up as soon as possible, and he's going to take it to the market to sell it, because that's his asset, right?
Yeah.
It's human nature, you don't want to lose your assets. So it's an economic problem.
Yes, sure.
Dr. Yeoman, what can we do? We're all sitting here, and maybe I'm a little bit of an alarmist. Hopefully for no reason. What can we do to protect ourselves? I mean, for instance, when SARS, you were talking about SARS.
Yeah, I was in charge also during SARS.
When SARS broke out in Hong Kong, they ran out of surgical masks because there was a panic to buy. Should I be buying surgical masks for my house now? Should I be stocking up on Tamiflu? Should I be hoarding food? What can I do? Because I want to do something. I don't want to just sit.
No need. For example, you have 2 parakeets in your house, isn't it? Yeah.
I have 2 parakeets.
So please take care of your parakeet.
Well, they're flying out the door today. You're going to see 2 parakeets flying
I
in
have
the garden.
1 bird in my house also, I take care, clean the cages,
Okay.
feed them nicely, and with the nutritious food. And then clean with this disinfectant. So make sure after touching everything, so wash your hand. So I told you, by implementing the very basic and essential personal hygiene and environmental sanitation, that's a great things, to prevent.
I live right next door to a wet market.
Mm-hmm.
And every day our maids go down and they buy fruits and vegetables, because we like to have great fruits and vegetables. And they slaughter chickens in that market. Is that a risk to me?
Actually, wet market, the risk is 10 times as compared to, for example, like, the backyard farming, let's say your parakeet in your house.
Right.
Yeah, because nobody knows what is there in the wet market,
Okay.
Yeah.
And are you? Then now I'm really worried. Are you monitoring these wet markets then?
Yes, of course. Our colleagues from Ministry of Agriculture is monitoring the wet market.
Okay.
Actually, this is what I read from the literature based on the Hong Kong, Vietnam experience. Actually, now we want to have our own experience. How big is the risk factors in our wet market compared to wet market in Vietnam?
Okay.
Yeah. Because Vietnam so far they have 93 confirmed cases of avian influenza.
Right. It's
60%
the
of
most.
that.
It's the most.
Those is the most. We have so far 12, and we still have 2 specimens sent to Hong Kong, positive here, and then we send it for confirmation. If most of the time positive here is also positive in Hong Kong.
Okay.
So we expect to have 14 cases.
Do we have enough veterinarians? I was reading in the paper the other day saying that we don't, but do we need veterinarians for this, to test birds? Do we need veterinarians?
Actually, we need veterinarian for animal health, because I was told by my colleagues from Ministry of Agriculture, they don't have enough veterinarian.
Do we need them? I mean, I could be taught how to test
Yes,
a
they
bird.
need them.
We need them.
They need them for, to be spread out throughout the country.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to come back to a question that I asked earlier. It's the rainy season. I also want to ask you about climate change. Is there, because these viruses, I don't know, we just see it, there's more CNN, we're a CNN society or a Metro TV society. Is there any cause and effect because of climate change with all these viruses and the rest taking place?
Yeah, because, people are discussing about this climate change and health, the impact of climate change to the health of the people. They are talking about the ozone layer, global warming, which also affects the, what we call it, the ecosystem. Because, for example, I can tell you what, in Irian Jaya, in the past, the malaria only found in the valley. And then now they're going up, the uphill. So actually, that place was cooler. Maybe now they are getting warmer, nobody knows, because we found the malaria cases, in the higher places. So something is, some kind of, the plasmodium or maybe the bacteria, the virus is migrating because they want to find a better place to live.
Right.
Like human being also, they are migrating to different places to get better job, to get better food.
Yeah. So by destroying our forests and the rest, we're putting ourselves more at risk.
Yes, more at risk.
We're lucky. This guy should have come here with a white hat and the rest. We're lucky that we got somebody at the front lines. I was worried before this program. We got somebody at the front lines that's serious. He's fighting this and he's serious about it. And I feel much better that Indonesia is at the front lines taking this seriously. Dr. Yoman, thanks a lot for being with us.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Appreciate it very much, and keep it up. And don't forget to join us next week for another edition of Moores Roland Point Blank.